It's your boy K-Blao, Hood X. Sign up for hoodx.com as usual. I am rolling a blunt, so don't get offended. I just want to tell you too that real quick. See this? This is not a normal bottle of water. This is. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Bam! Look at that. Haha. Stash box. This is where I keep my shit. You see? And you just screw this right on there. And you never knew. Haha. So, enough with the theatrics. This video is about the Wheel of Fortune. Alright, so the Wheel of Fortune is not a well, it is a TV show hosted by Pat Sajak and Vanna White, but we're talking about the Tarot Wheel of Fortune, which is a whole different type of Wheel of Fortune. Now, the TV show Wheel of Fortune probably got its name from the tarot card Wheel of Fortune. Why is this shit like this? Okay. But we're going to talk about the actual tarot card. So the tarot card is number 10. The Wheel of Fortune card is number 10 in tarot, which is like, in numerology, there's a belief that there's only really 9 numbers. So it's 0 through 9. And anything else is a combination of 0 through 9. So you look at number 19, it's really a combination of 1 and 9. Or you look at 134, it's a combination of 1, 3, 4. But there's really only actually 9 numbers. And each one of these numbers is different energy. So when you reach 10, 10 is kind of a rebirth in the sense of it's what you get after you done went through all 9. Well, in the hood, that's what we call chambers. Chambers is like the cards, basically, or like degrees, or lessons, or virtues. So after you've been through all 9 chambers, you resurrect. You start over again at 1. So it's a 1, 0. So it's the second level. You know what I'm saying? Level, this the first chamber of the second level, which is number 10. It's 1, 0. So like even in comedics, when they say number 1 is a SAR, but number 10 is like Amen, meaning that it's like it's Voltron. It's like when you see the Power Rangers, how all of the, what they call them, Zords, they all come together as one giant Zord. I think they call it the Megazord. Well, that's kind of like how Amen is. Or like Voltron, when all of these pieces come together as one piece. You know what I'm saying? That's number 10. So, Wheel of Fortune is like, okay, so when you doing tarot, you got the major arcana and you got the minor arcana. The major arcana is like the main theme. You see what I'm saying? So like number 1 is the ace. Number 2 is the high priestess. Number 3 is the empress. Number 4 is the emperor. Number 5 is the hierophant. 6 is the lovers. So like these are the major themes and of life, really, like, you know what I'm saying, and ideas, how your brain works. You know what I'm saying? So when they say the high priestess is number 2, that is like saying, okay, well, that's the beginning of a thought, or it's like how you approach a thought. You know what I'm saying? When they say 6 is the lover's card, it's kind of like how you love. It's like your style of love. You know what I'm saying? So if you're an earth sign, like it'd be the 6 of Pentacles, whereas you're like a water sign, it'd be like the 6 of Cups. If you're an air sign, it'd be 6 of Swords. If you're a fire sign, it would be 6 of Wands. You see what I'm saying? So it's 4 different types of each card in the major arcana. So when you get to number 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune, you get 10 different, you get 4 different types of fortune. So like if you are an air sign, you see what I'm saying, you go through Ace of Swords, 2 of Swords, 3 of Swords, 4 of Swords, 5 of Swords, 6 of Swords, 7 of Swords, 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, and you finally get to the 10 of Swords, which is like the result. It's like what you get. It's the end of the story. How's this story going to end? It's like your destiny, almost. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like subconsciously where your mind is leading you to. If you're a Sword, which is an air sign, you know what I'm saying? So if you're Cups, you would say some shit like 2 of Cups, 3 of Cups, 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups, 6 of Cups, 7 of Cups, 8 of Cups, 9 of Cups, and you get to 10 of Cups, which is the manifestation. It's like, here's what you get after you went through all of those degrees. So when you watch the tarot cards, it's important. Like I watch it like a movie almost, and that like you see the drama played out. Like when I watch a lot of romance movies, for example, This is very, very similar to the themes that you see in the Cups, the Cups suit. You know what I'm saying? So like when you watch a romance movie, it kind of starts out like that, where it's like 2 of Cups, 3 of Cups, and 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups, 6 of Cups. Like when you watch the drama that's going through the cards in the Cup series versus like the air suits, like, you know what I'm saying? You start to see these themes in movies. Like you're watching like an air movie. Like what's a good air movie? Like man, what is the name of that? I think it's called Focus. It was a movie with Will Smith where he was teaching this girl how to steal, like she was a thief. You see what I'm saying? Like that's an air movie. And that like the way that the cards played out, you see what I'm saying? Like he died at the end. Well, he was supposed to die at the end. You see what I'm saying? Like that's an air movie. Like when you watch Tupac, like Tupac got killed. Like if you look at the Ten of Swords, the motherfucker getting killed. Like he's laying there dead, but he's not necessarily dead, but he's dying. And he's like, oh, look at me, I'm dying. Like, you know what I'm saying? You think your life's bad. Look at my shit, look what the fuck I'm going through. So, like, this is the kind of mentality that Swords kind of have. That, like, you know what I'm saying? This is shit that got Tupac killed. It's Gemini. This is shit that got Biggie killed. It's Gemini. This is where you get a lot of air signs killed. Like, when you look at, before their time, when you look at Ultimate Warrior, when you look at, you know what I'm saying, Marilyn Monroe, you look at a lot of air signs end up getting killed. You see what I'm saying? Or dying before their time. You look at James Dean, who died in a car accident. You see what I'm saying? Like, a real violent death a lot of times is kind of where air signs kind of teeter on this idea that I might get killed one day or I might get shot one day. Like this is a very big part of air signs, you know what I'm saying, philosophy and how they see life and how they approach life. You see what I'm saying? So the Ten of Swords, which you're looking at, is a guy laying there dead with 10 swords in his back. He's dying. You see what I'm saying? Now this is the end of the sword movie, basically. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, when you watch the movie Focus, like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, spoil the movie for you, but, like, you know what I'm saying, he basically faked his death. A lot of people believe that Tupac had faked his death. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are all themes of an air sign. You see what I'm saying? Because of the Ten of Swords. When you look at the Ten of Cups, what you're looking at is, like, water signs. You see a lady and a man outside with the kids, and it's a big rainbow, and the kids are playing. It's a beautiful scene. You see what I'm saying? And this is where water signs thoughts are leading them to, like, they want a happy family, they want kids playing around, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of it's a real nice picture, you see what I'm saying? It's about, you know what I'm saying, working real hard to get what you want, you see what I'm saying? And having and being surrounded by love and your family and things of that. This is what water signs movie wants to end. They want what's called like a happily ever after. You see what I'm saying? Like when you look at the Ten of Cups, what you kind of looking at is like happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? Like a fairy tale. You see what I'm saying? This is where water signs thoughts is kind of leading them. And then you got like the Ten of Wands, which is the fire signs. You see what I'm saying? Oh, and real quick too, like about the water signs, we're talking about Ten of Cups. You know what I'm saying? Happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? When you see, you know, you see a lot of movies end this way, like happily ever after, like, you know, like the end of Cinderella, you know, she got with the prince. You know what I'm saying? The end of Snow White. You know what I'm saying? They get with the prince and they ride off into the sunset and it's happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? These are, I mean, the thing about water signs, a lot of times, like I say, they kind of think in opening credits, meaning that like when you watch, or closing credits, meaning like happily ever after, it's 20 hours. But like when I say opening credits, like you watch the opening credits of a TV show and they all turn to like, and like, you know, it's all like, hey, like everything, like the first 30 seconds of an opening sequence of a TV show, like Cancers, well, not Cancer, water signs a lot of times kind of think that way, where like it's just like moments in time where it's like, hey, I'm a water sign, hey, what's up, hey, like everything is great. So like this is what a lot of times when like a water sign may think that their partner is cheating, this is why they really, because in their mind they're seeing images of like their spouse living out the opening credits of some TV show with like another, you know what I'm saying, with another female or guy. You see what I'm saying? So like, this is why it drives them crazy. You see what I'm saying? Like, I've seen situations where like a guy was cheating, guys to cheat on a wife, or a girl be cheating on WhatsApp. You know what I'm saying? And the person that they cheating with is actually making it worse. Like they don't even like this person. It's just they just so desperate to get away from, you know what I'm saying, the water person. You see what I'm saying? That like the person they get with even be worse than the person that they with. You see what I'm saying? But like I've heard stories of guys who cheat on they spouse. You know what I'm saying? But like they dick couldn't even get hard. Like they'll go try to go fuck another chick, you know what I'm saying? But they dick won't even get hard, you know what I'm saying? It'll make them even more depressed, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? In a Cancer woman mind sitting at home, like she gonna be thinking that this dude is out in the opening credits. So like he's just living like a fantasy, like, you know what I'm saying? And the end credits, you know what I'm saying? When you take that same concept and put it toward the end of the movie, like the happily ever after, like, you know what I'm saying? You do have the opening credits rolling. And everybody's like, hey, what's up? Hey, we had a good time. You know, like when the cast all comes out at the end of a play and they all bow together, like, thank you. Like, this is 10 of Cups. You see what I'm saying? It's like the end of a dramatic sequence type shit. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's 10 of Cups. And you got 10 of Wands, which is like the fire signs. Basically, the 10 of Wands is a dude walking down the street holding a whole bunch of sticks. Like he's holding 10 sticks and he's carrying them. They're heavy and he really wants to, you can tell he kind of wants to put them down, but he's stuck with them. He's like, well, no, this is my responsibility. This is what I got to do. This is what the fuck I got to do. You know what I'm saying? So he's walking with these wands. They're too heavy for him. They're overburdening him. He wants to put them down, but he can't. And basically, like, it's kind of like what happened to Hulk Hogan in a sense. Like, he's a Leo. You know what I'm saying? Like, Hulk Hogan used to be one of the greatest wrestlers. He was the greatest wrestler of all time, but as he gets older, you got to kind of carry that weight with you. You see what I'm saying? It's like they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. You see what I'm saying? Like I know a lot of fire signs who get sick and then they won't tell their family members they sick. You see what I'm saying? So like, because they don't want that, you know, they don't necessarily want them worrying, but they don't want to be seen in that way. You see what I'm saying? So like, they'll live with that burden. You see what I'm saying? Or like, I'm trying to think of another fire sign. Like, you know, there's a lot of fire signs that got big egos, but they'll make a fool of themselves, and now they gotta live with that shit. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like when Hulk Hogan put out the video or whatever, he was having sex with his daughter's friend or whatever, and then he was making racist remarks and shit like that. Well, now you gotta live with that. You were like one of the greatest entertainers of all time. You know what I'm saying? But now you got this stain on your fucking image, and you gotta live with that shit now. You see what I'm saying? And this is kind of what the 10 of Wands is about, in that, like, you know, it's like a burden of everything that you know what I'm saying? Like the king having to, like, if you were a king, that's a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure your castle's clean. You make sure your crown's clean. You got to make sure all the people in order. You got to make sure, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of responsibility to be a king. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of fire signs end up dealing with, is that, like, the image and the expectations of you. You know what I'm saying? It's like a larger than life almost personality. You know what I'm saying? And you have to maintain that. You're still a human being, but you're maintaining such a large image and a large destiny and fate that it's a burden. You know what I'm saying? You start losing hair starting to bald. You're not as handsome as you used to be. So I'm saying, you look at Hulk Hogan, like him having that bald head, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I use Hulk Hogan as a reference point for fire signs, but you can see this in a lot of, like, you look at DMX, the Sagittarius. You see what I'm saying? He's a fire sign. You look at his career, how his career is just, his stock is just going down, 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 down. This is like 10 of Wands. You see what I'm saying? It's like the bigger they are, the harder they fall. You see what I'm saying? The last one is the 10 of, wait, did I do? Yeah. The 10 of Pentacles. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you know what I'm saying? When you look at the, well, first, when you look at the 10 of Pentacles, you know what I'm saying? You got to remember that the 9 before that was a lady in a garden. You see what I'm saying? Like, she was surrounded by all of the things that she had worked real hard for. You see what I'm saying? So, like, when you look at the next card, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like a king and a queen. You know what I'm saying? Right by their, like a knight who's a protector. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, this is somebody who has worked real hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you go through all of the Pentacle cards, you see it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of, you know what I'm saying, struggle. It's a lot of dedication. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of work. They go, like, the Pentacle suit is a very like a hard working movie. Like if you're watching this movie, you see what I'm saying, you see like this is somebody who's working real hard. You see what I'm saying? It pays off only like at the very end. You see what I'm saying? But there's a lot of ups and downs in there. Like when you look at the Two of Pentacles to begin with, like it's a lot of off balance, and he's trying to find his balance. You see what I'm saying? And that's kind of, it's like the even if you look at the water in the background on the two, it's like the ups and downs, and like this is what you're dealing with a lot of earth signs and the pentacles, in that, like, you know what I'm saying, the struggles of life, and then they go up and down and up, and they trying to find this balance of life. You know what I'm saying? And it ends, the way it ends, the end of the movie, it finally ends with them finding this balance, and they get their spouse and their, you know what I'm saying, protected. Their whole empire and everything is protected. Like, this is where the earth sign's mind is leading them. So when you look at their cards play out, when you look at the end, when you look at the 10 of Pentacles, you see why this drama is playing out the way that it played out. You see what I'm saying? This is somebody who wants a big house, a big car, a beautiful spouse. You know what I'm saying? They want to protect it as well. You know what I'm saying? This is why they act the way they act. You know what I'm saying? When you see how they, in their mind, how their movie is leading. And mind you, this is with all signs. They're like, when you understand the earth signs, when you understand the water signs, you understand the fire signs, and you understand the air signs. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the end of their movie, when you look at the 10, you see what I'm saying? You see why they're acting the way they're acting, because like their life path is taking them in this direction. You see what I'm saying? The more you like man, one of the best videos I ever seen on YouTube that explains tarot is me. It's called Learn Tarot in 2 Hours. It's 2 different videos. It's called Learn Tarot in 2 Hours. Shout out to the guy who made that video. He's excellent interpretation. I've never even seen an interpretation that was that great. And that what he explained, that, like, you know, when you looking at each one of these cards, it takes a while to learn this, but like when you first start looking at tarot cards, you just see each card. You don't really see the theme of the whole movie. And they're like, okay, a sword movie, a earth movie, you know what I'm saying, a fire movie. This is why I'm so good at giving interpretations. You know what I'm saying? It's because I know the cards, and not just the cards, but you able to see the whole movie. Like, you able to see how the 2 leads to the 3, and how the 3 leads to the 4, and how the 4 leads to the 5, and the 5 leads to the 6, and the choices that people make, and how people are limited in their choices because it's leading them to the end of this movie. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like me, what I do sometimes, like when I look at the air sign cards, a lot of fucked up cards in the air sign cards. You see what I'm saying? But it's lessons. You see, there's a lot of fucked up cards pretty much in every suit. You see what I'm saying? But what you got to do is that eventually you start to see that, like, certain signs deal with certain major arcana themes better than others. Like, if you look at the 7 is a Chariot card. Air signs do real good in the Chariot. Like, you look at the 7 of Swords compared to a 7 of Cups. You know what I'm saying? It's a much better card. Like, if you're under a 7 of Chariot, you want to be an air sign. You don't necessarily want to be a water sign. You know what I'm saying? You really don't want to be an earth sign either. Same thing with the 5. Like, if you're like a air signs do good in the 5, which is a terrible fucking card. Like, the 5 is a Hierophant, so it's like instability. A lot of people don't do good with this card, but air signs do. It's like the 9. 9 of Swords is one of the worst cards in the deck. This is in my chart. So a lot of times I gotta jump. Like, the 9 is the Hermit card. So it's like your internal structure. It's like how you see yourself when ain't nobody around and it's quiet and you bored and you ain't got shit to do, and you start thinking, you know what I'm saying, like when you're alone. You know what I'm saying? The 9 of Swords is one of the worst cards. And that because we're air signs, so we constantly intellect, we constantly ask ourselves, man, did I say the right shit? Why did I say it? I shouldn't have said that, man. I should. It's like a lot of times when I make these videos, you know what I'm saying? When I hit stop and I go back and think about it later, I'll be like, man, damn, I forgot this. I should have said this. I should have said that. Like, this is the 9, so this is how our mind kind of works. And they're like, but mind, this is on the small scale. But like, you got air sign people who say fucked up shit to their family members, fucked up shit to their friends. And then, like, when ain't nobody around, or, like, they end up getting locked up and they in jail and they just sitting around, they be like, man, why the fuck did I do that shit? I shouldn't have did that shit. Like, this is 9 of Swords. You see what I'm saying? Well, like, 9 of Cups is somebody who's going to give us the total opposite. And they're like, this is somebody who's thinking, yes, I know what I want. I'm going to get what I want. And they're just focusing on what they want, not necessarily the regrets and the things that they said wrong. They're just focusing on the things that they want. So, like, me as an air sign, I know to jump. Like, I'll jump from 9 of Swords to 9 of Cups, in that, like, I can see that my mind is doing the 9 of Swords thing, so I'll instantly say, well, stop, switch, boom. Okay, what should I be thinking about? I should be thinking about the things that I'm going to get. You see what I'm saying? So you can jump. That's why this is what determines, like my boy Poe, he called it Tony Fabo, which is like the 13th zodiac, which is like the person who can transcend all of their weaknesses and just hold on to their strengths. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be the person that you were born. You can jump, you can time travel. This is like, you know what I'm saying, what we call 5th dimensional. Like, you can shift, you know what I'm saying, through time. You know what I'm saying? You know, people say everything happens for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It's not, I don't see it that way. I see we are the reason why everything happens. It's like, what other reason do you need? You're the only person, from your standpoint, that truly exists. So any outside influence, you have to remember, it don't just come through osmosis and just naturally. These are all things that are implemented by other people, other men, other women. You see what I'm saying? Life doesn't just happen. Everything that you experience was a thought from somebody else. You see what I'm saying? It's not just osmosis and the earth just happening. Every drama that plays out, it was put here from another person, another thought. You see what I'm saying? So when you get the highest level of thinking, you have the better experiences of life while you're here on this planet. You see what I'm saying? You don't necessarily have to think that life happens to me. You can make life happen to you. You know what I'm saying? You can take life by the horns. You see what I'm saying? And this is what, when I study the 13th zodiac, and when I study tarot cards, where I study different chambers and different choices that people make, because you're able to see how people are limited in their choices. They're like, okay, well, because I'm a fire sign, I think this way. It's like, well, no. Yes, you're a fire sign. Yes, you think this way, but you can still transcend these thoughts. You can still use other signs as reference points as far as your strengths and weaknesses. You see what I'm saying? So, like, if you're the type of person, like, if you're an earth sign, and every time somebody talk about money, and you start tripping out, or you feel your heart rate increasing, your legs start jumping and shit, like, motherfucker talking about money, and you be like, oh shit, money, I gotta get my money. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to, while you in that moment, to take a step back and say, wait a minute, this ain't me. Like, this is just something I'm going through. Like, you know what I'm saying? The way that you think about things aren't the end. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's more than what you think. It's more than what you see. I'm trying to think of that word, what they call it. I think they call it ignorance on fire. You know what I'm saying? When you don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody kind of goes through this at some point in life, where, like, you don't know what you don't know. You know that there's certain things that you don't know, and you know that what it's going to take to go find them, but you still don't know. It's like when you first learn to tie your shoes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you first learn to tie your shoes, it takes all your energy to bend over and tie your shoe. You see what I'm saying? But when you eventually learn how to do it, you can do it without even, like, you go to tie your shoe right now, you can do it without even thinking about it. You see what I'm saying? So, when it's just like the same thing when you first start learning about your strengths and your weaknesses. You see what I'm saying? Like, you kind of assume that you're a complete person, you see what I'm saying? But then when you start to look at other people, you be like, well, damn, I struggle with money. Like, if you're an earth sign, you be like, man, I struggle with money. But it's a water sign person, they don't struggle with money at all. What is it about them? What do they understand about money that I don't understand? And vice versa, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you're able to look at your thoughts and see, okay, well, like, these aren't just my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I can change. I can actually use other people as reference points to change and see, okay, well, like, why am I struggling with this? You see what I'm saying? The next person is struggling with this. Why am I struggling with this? You see what I'm saying? And all of this ties in back to the Wheel of Fortune, which is like, this is what people want. Everybody kind of want to see themselves as right. Everybody thinks that they're right. You know what I'm saying? But nobody knows that they're limited. You're only 1/4 of a full person. You know what I'm saying? So like, even though I'm an air sign, I'm gonna think that naturally the way that I approach everything is the right way to approach it, just based on the fact that I'm an air sign. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, because I'm an air sign, I'm able to see how I'm limited in my earth, my fire, and my water. So I'm able to shift. Like I don't want to be too biased toward air. In that, like, I'm able to see that, like, if I run into water signs, if I run into fire signs, if I run into, you know, these other signs, that I'm going to be biased toward my sign. You see what I'm saying? Most people do not adjust that thought right there. Well, I'll actually adjust that thought. You see what I'm saying? To balance out myself as a full person. Yes, I'm an air sign. I was born an air sign, but while I'm here, my goal is not to lead toward the 10 of swords. My goal is to lead toward the completion of all of the cards. Meaning that, like, the combination of, I can get 10 of wands, I can get 10 of swords, I can get 10 of cups, I can get 10 of pentacles, but you really want to mix all of them together, and that is one final solution. You want to, I mean, of course we're going to die as an air sign, you know what I'm saying, but you still want a happy family while you're here. You know what I'm saying? You still want what the earth signs want, is a big house, a big car, beautiful spouse. You still want these things, and you also still want, you know what I'm saying, as far as a fire sign, you know what I'm saying, you still want to be yourself without it becoming a burden. Like, you see what I'm saying? So, like, you want to examine all 4 of these cards under the 10, you know what I'm saying, and find the strengths, the best parts of these cards, and use yourself as a vessel to manifest these things. You see what I'm saying? It's very easy to be biased toward your sign, biased toward your wheel of fortune. You see what I'm saying? But use other people's wheels of fortune as reference points of what you're missing from yourself, and you'll start to see, you know what I'm saying, what you need to work on. All right? I know I left a lot out of this video. It's 9 of swords. This is what goes through my mind. A lot of times when I make these videos, that's why I take notes when I do the why I hate videos. They always come out a lot better. But anybody that got any experience with the, you know what I'm saying, the Wheel of Fortune or the 10 cards in the minor arcana, please, you know what I'm saying, leave the comments below. I love to hear it. I love talking about these things, obviously. Why I Hate Sagittarius is coming soon. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Peace.